What is up, y'all? It's Grant with another episode of the Groovy Files, and today I got my main man with me, Donovan.
Yo, what's going on?
And today we're gonna be talking about the one, the only, Vince Staples. So first things first. After Vince kind of like ironing out his sound, and he kind of experimented with Big Fish Theory and shit like that, and then you had FM, and then finally like the Vince Staples subtitle and everything like that, where he kind of gave us a glimpse on what the album was gonna be. And then you come in with like an album of the year contender with Blown Apart, Broke My Heart. So I say this: if Vince Staples were to stop rapping today, what is his legacy?
For me, personally, one, I just want to say, I feel like Vince is easily one of the most authentic artists out there, not even just rappers or whatever. I think his authenticity is something to truly be admired. He's never put out anything for me that I felt like wasn't him, or he needs to, like, this just doesn't sound right or whatever, because everything sounds like him. Even when he was experimenting, it still felt like something up his alley. I think he's beyond that. Like, he's a West Coast hip hop legend to me, with just the body work he's done for the past like decade, the artists he's worked with, things he's been on, the critical acclaim he has. Like, he's really a legend in his own right. And he's done all that without really compromising any part of himself, which I think is the best part about it.
When I'm thinking about Vince, I feel like he's a rapper that doesn't really. When you think of the words "dead air time," I feel like Vince is the exact opposite of that. Like, for instance, like back when he was in the blog era and stuff like that, with features and just his projects, he didn't really like have any filler to me. Like, no matter what, he was gonna be saying something, and he's gonna make sure you hear that saying that's something. Like on features, like for instance, like Elimination Chamber and everything like that. It's like the first the first 4 bars on this song are some of the hardest shit I've ever heard. And then like he always makes his presence felt on songs. And with Vince, like I'd say he has a classic mixtape catalog. Stolen Youth, Shine Cold Chain 2, or if I don't think I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it or not. Winter in Prague. And then on top of that, having one of the best double albums ever as his debut album with Summertime 06.
Summertime 06 is really like a classic to me. I remember that really being the turning point for me for being a Vince fan. Like, I always thought he was dope. I mean, like you said, he had Stolen Youth, he had Hell Can Wait. And so I would listen to him on stuff like that, and I would listen to him on features, and I'd be like, this nigga can really rap. I mean, even with Hive, with him and Earl Sweatshirt, both of them arguably had verse of the year on the same song. Like, it really could be argued either way. But Summertime 06 really elevated him to the point where it's like, we use this term all the time, but it was really undeniable. With just the quality of it. 2, it's a double album, so there's 20 tracks of greatness.
Bruh, Vince Staples is currently 29 years old. He dropped that album at 21, almost. This nigga was a teenager, a fucking teenager, making Stolen Youth and shit. That shit fucking crazy. Like, not Like this nigga is fucking like 17, 18 making this shit. And like this is why I always say, like, in rap, I ain't gonna say, I'll say this, like I ain't gonna shun like new listeners, like not new listeners, but new rappers for this or anything like that. But I don't think age is necessarily an excuse. I think it's more so just experience and just reading up and doing your research and shit like that. Cause we talk about all the time like how the greatest rappers of all time have dropped such great bodies of work at such a young age. And when Vince, like, he got a double album, like, it's legends that can't execute a double album. And he did that shit as his debut album. And then we talk about people like kind of changing sounds and everything like that. And like Vince from back then to now is like completely different. Like Vince now is much more melodic versus, and he's less kind of like, because his whole reasoning behind it was like, I ain't really trying to sell that. I ain't trying to really glorify that street lifestyle or everything like that. I want to make it to where like people know it's not okay. And I feel like that's what Vince has done throughout his entire career. He was like, hey, I live this life where I live this life, but it's not fun. It's not a glorification or anything like that. And I think that's what makes Vince so special. I think to cap off his career, I think I want a one producer album. I want Vince Staples. Like, I ain't trying to be corny, but like, I want Vince Staples and Alchemist. I want Vince Staples and DJ Quick. Like that 5 Heartbeat song that he had with Alchemist, like a couple on that EP that dropped like 2 years ago. I need that. Like, and I know Alchemist is kind of like the de facto answer for a lot of collabs, and I don't like using him too much, but I would like to hear that.
At
What
this
do we
point,
think?
really, Alchemist with anybody kind of works out. So I completely understand. I like you said, I love to hear Vince. I really love Vince on a either one producer project or really just with like just some rapidy rap stuff. Like just with it don't even have to be anything like, you know, him rapping about, or it doesn't have to be about a particular subject matter. Just something where he can just kind of express the way that he does. Like, because all his freestyles are so good. I ain't never heard of Vince freestyle that I wouldn't play back like 3, 4 times. So just something where he can just like rap whichever way he feels like, just depending on whatever, instead of sticking to a particular uh feeling like or album uh or the way like his albums are going. I think that would be dope.
When people talk about, remember we had a discussion about this on the Gambino episode, and we were like, rappers ending their careers on their own terms, like with Gambino. I can see Vince kind of doing that route because around 2017, 2018, Vince's whole thing was like, hey, I want to make the music I want to make, but I want to make money off it. And I want to get placements and all this other shit. Now we see him in like Acura commercials and shit like that. And now we see him on Abbott Elementary. And now we see him, he finna have his own TV show. So
That boy in Abbott.
What'd you say?
That boy is in Abbott Elementary.
Yeah. Like, I can see him. I ain't gonna say he gonna go to like the full Gambino route. Like, man, you know what? Them niggas kind of similar. Like, just it over. I ain't gonna say fully, but like the similarities are there. Both them niggas are funny. One may be intentionally or non-intentionally funny. Both them niggas have critically acclaimed mixtapes and albums. Both them niggas changed genres somewhat. At a point in time, not fully, but somewhat. And both them niggas, one of them niggas has a critically acclaimed TV show, and another nigga is about to have a TV show. I ain't saying it's fully there, but like I can see him. I see the roadmap a little.
I think the way, like, I think Vince being himself in all facets, like whether it be through the music or through his interviews, really, especially his interviews, like he really has some Hall of Fame stuff, like the stuff with the interviews with Tyler Creator, the one where he was talking about Ray J, like his overrated, underrated stuff, like his personality has just opened doors for so many things for him to just be involved in whatever. So already he's been in like 3 or 4 films at least. He has some television appearances. Like he got commercials. Uh, he got music on the radio and in commercials. He had one of them Call of Duty tracks. Like his authenticity has allowed him to put him in rooms that I don't think other people on his level or like who are as popular as him could get. Um, just because I don't think they're as open with themselves, or at least most of them are.
The shit like really, the shit like really crazy though. Like with Vince, he really one of them. He really one of them ones. Like he's such a talented guy, and what we see with, give me 1 second, Doctor, I need that. I'm still recording. But one thing we see was like Vince now is that, I ain't gonna say like, like we see like what it is like. I guess I don't want to say failing upward because I don't feel like Big Fish Theory was a failure. I feel like Big Fish Theory more than anything, just like we would not get Ramona Park Broke My Heart without Big Fish Theory. 100% believe that. We see the importance of artists taking chances and letting them experiment in order to get to where they want to go. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really all about taking chances. Like, everyone can't rap the same. Everyone can't do the same thing forever. Like the artists that we kind of put on a pedestal eventually had to at least like try something, or at least most of them had to try something. You have to know, you have to try things to know whether you're good at it or whether you're not good at it, or whether you like it or whether you don't like it or not. And I think when you have a dedicated fan base, like people are willing to listen to when you take chances, and that's fine. Like Vince has and that's kind of what like I appreciate underground rappers for, and I think that's like something that underground rappers can do that like these really popular rappers can't. Is these people have these underground rappers have cultivated a dedicated fan base who will buy whatever they put out or buy whatever merch they put out. And if they try something, people are going to listen to that because it's them. But then, I mean, you have people like Roddy Ricch, like Roddy put out what people considered a really good album in, I don't know, what was that, 2020, 2021, wherever the
20,
lock.
2019.
2019, excuse me. And then like he put out a couple singles that niggas ain't like, and then the next thing you know, like he drops a project and niggas aren't trying to hear that because of a couple singles that they didn't like. Like it's really those upper echelon people very rarely get to experiment.
Like the point of like experimentation, like people don't understand that very few artists can experiment and still execute at a high level. Like, I hate to use this again, like, but I'm gonna use the biggest mainstream example. Like, the whole fear of To Pimp a Butterfly was that Kendrick, like, Punch was like telling Kendrick, like, hey, don't go too far this way. But like, don't, your audience didn't necessarily go with you to Africa, the inspiration for the sound of To Pimp a Butterfly, a lot of funk influence and a lot of everything like that. And I was just thinking, like, hey, Kendrick must have tried Kendrick must have tried this shit multiple times and just nobody knew. A lot of people like don't have that same luxury of failing, or people don't have a luxury of failing anything like that. And people don't understand like art is art and part of art is growth. So with Vince, I'm kind of sad that people kind of wrote off his career in a sense, and like after 2015, like with the Prima Donna EP and then Biff's Theory and then FM. I thought FM was good personally. I thought it was an enjoyable tape, and I felt like it was just fun, and like it was just like a West Coast tape. Um, but people don't get enough room to fail, and it's just not realistic.
People don't get enough room to try, really. And yeah, it's failing, trying, whatever. It's just like if you don't have people that's willing to back you up or stand by while you do certain things, like first time people hear something new, they're gonna be like, whoa, this is not what I signed up for. And that's really what they're gonna try to that's people are really quick to write people off. And we kind of see it in like whether it be art or music or sports, like, you got when players can play all good. I mean, players can play well for 82 games and then, playoffs come around and maybe you have like a bad stretch during the playoffs and then like people will write you off for that. And so it takes a really long time to build that stuff back, or you have a good relationship with people and then they do something that you don't like. And then now you look at them a certain type of way for a long time because, you know, they you felt like they did you wrong. Like people are really quick to think of the bad or think of the things they don't like before they think of the things that they do.
I think like with just hip hop in general, I take it like this. I'll make this analogy. Rappers are chefs. And the amount of times, and as a customer, very few people are going to be like, unless you see perspective and everything like, very few people are going to be like, oh, I don't care that how hard you worked on this or how much growing you're doing as a chef. If the food I get is ass, I don't really care. And like we kind of forget like these people are like human and everything like that. So I feel like that's the best analogy to make.
I don't think
But
there's I don't think there's a genre out there that deserves to be uh, as open to experimentation as hip hop is. In all honesty, like because hip hop takes from so many things, and I feel like hip hop is or hip hop rap, whatever you want to call it, is the most versatile genre, and very easily, if not at least like top three, but off the top of my head, I very easily consider it top one because it samples so many things and involves so many different things, and like, sure, if you want to reduce it down to it's just a beat and lyrics, then whatever, but samples take from samples that were in other things, or people sample like video game sounds, or you gotta I feel like with other genres, you most of the time, I feel like critically acclaimed, it's gonna be very rare for other people to be like, I don't like this. But with rap, I mean, you could have somebody who like who's on top, and you could still have quite a few people who'd be like, I don't like this. This is bad. Like, you know, all the people who don't like Wayne, all the people who don't like Jay-Z, all the people who don't like Nas, like even all these people who have all these accolades and the fame and the success and the quality, there's just so many people who don't like it as much as do, because rap is just so, there's so much. You could pick three random rappers and none of them are going to sound close to each other. And that's why I think it rappers deserve to be able to do more of the things that they want instead of feel like they have to do the things that they need to keep a fan base or cultivate a fan base.
Like, man, people don't underestimate. That's why I always like push like, hey, you need a fan, like you need an actual fan base, you need fans and all that other shit. Because being a fan of a rapper and being a fan of an album are like two really different things. And I kind of hate that like it's starting to like the mainstream doesn't really understand that now, because it's like a kind of like it's like a fast track. Like once you have a hit, your career is kind of like fast track versus like in the past, like you actually had some time for some sort of development. Um, I'll put it this way, like with Roddy Ricch, people were a fan of two albums of his. I don't think people were fans of Roddy Ricch himself. So when you drop the dud, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, on to the next guy. Versus you got guys that people are actually fans of, and they can do whatever they want to because the fan base is gonna go with them. But one thing I wanted to do, let's play with Vince Staples' career. Let's play best, worst, overrated, underrated. I think for the best Vince project, I don't know if I'm ready to put Ramona Park as his best yet. I still think Summertime '06 is the best. Overrated, I don't really think he has anything overrated. Worst, I guess Prima Donna, but I don't hate anything that he's put out. At least I respect. I almost honestly just almost respect everything he's put out. Underrated, Hell Can Wait, or Winter in Prague.
For me, I think I'm going to say favorite is definitely Summertime '06. Overrated, like you said, I don't really think it's nothing for that, just because like I don't know. And the stuff that people love are genuinely really good. Underrated, um, I think FM or the Big Fish Theory is underrated, or at least like overhated, or over disliked. Um, and least favorite, I guess, like you said, probably Prima Donna, and it's maybe just because like it's just not as memorable as the other stuff that he's put out.
Prima Donna is like when he like first kind of got into that experimentation bag a little, like a little more left field than what he did before. And yeah, it's just not memorable to me. It's more like I really respect the effort. But other than that, like I'm kind of like not really moved by it that much. But one thing I did want to say was, what do we think if we had to if you had one Vince Staples song you had to introduce Soup, introduce somebody to. What is it? Like, what's his quote unquote Mona Lisa song? I'm gonna go with I think Nate off Shango off Cold Chain 2. And the reason why I think this is because I feel like it displays all of Vince's strengths in one song. Um, Shout out to Brandon Jinx for this because I think he said this while he was on a freestyle Vince that he posted on Twitter like today or yesterday. But like Vince is like he doesn't leave any box unchecked, like cadence, flow, delivery, charisma, all the shit that you want in a rapper. I feel like Nate out of all songs is displays that the best.
For me, I think I'm gonna have to go with
When Sparks Fly.
no. I'm actually gonna say Jump Off the Roof. I think it's a off of Summertime '06. I think it's just a absolute like I want to say the word banger, but that sounds kind of Caucasian. But it's a great song. The subject matter of it is very Vince. It's like I don't know. It has everything that you could really like ask for out of that nigga. Like the subject matter is really like him. The sound is really good. You could play it a lot of different places. The beat choice is great and the sample use is great. Like all that stuff is just like it encapsulates a lot of things for me. Like it's a lot of parts of Vince that I love in one song.
I feel like it's very valid. Very valid. And like that's one of the standout songs on that to me because it's very like I don't want to say like upbeat, but it kind of shows like, hey, I'm not really in that box that y'all want to put me in. I got more to me than just a gangster rapper or like and everything like that. But we're gonna wrap it up there. Next episode will be whatever next episode is.
We still got to talk about best and worst bars.
Oh yes, best and worst bars has to be coming soon. That needs to be we're gonna make that a very special episode. But other than that, that's another episode. Y'all stay easy. We out.
Stay groovy.
Indeed.